194.
Welcome to hashtag VersTEAv194. I'm Aaron Mack here with Basic Complexity, and this is week one. I'm so discombobulated, you guys. I apologize. This is week 194. I'm Aaron Mack here with my good friend Basic Complexity, who will take it away. First, talking about what makes the number four special for him for our 194th week.
The number four. Well, first off, sorry. Hey everybody. Um, I wanna start off saying what makes the number four really stand out to me personally. Um, would definitely be well first, definitely Beyonce's album titled Four, which I personally thought was fairly good. Add a little bit of a R&B flair to it. Like, yeah, just kind of took me back to when Beyonce first started out. But yeah, yeah, also have to notice or acknowledge the other part about four that really stands out to me would definitely be the year 1984. And that stands out to me because that was, wow, the only year I was the only child. And yeah, they ain't last long. But yeah, new song choice is actually and surprisingly was even fond of this artist when he first came out, but it was actually a song titled Holy by Justin Bieber featuring Chance the Rapper. Um, the song is the lead single from Justin's 2021 album titled Justice. And actually like the track because it could definitely be considered a uplifting track.
Let's first get into the fact that it's called Justice. Don't you love it when people pun on their own names? Like
Right.
for music, Justin Bieber's Justice. Anyway, but let's also get into the fact that he's heterosexual, and I don't fall for heterosexuals like ridiculous or whatever. But let's get into the fact that in a basic sort of homosexual person acknowledging the beauty of another person, but not being like, oh, I want to have sex with them. But let's get into the fact that Chance the Rapper is fine. Isn't he
Uh,
fine though?
yes.
Mm,
Yes.
period. Dot at the end of the sentence. Anyway, but yes,
Yeah,
all right.
I acknowledge that.
Yeah, and it seems like he's getting even more fine. And I was looking at him like, but you heterosexual boy, so boy bye. Anyway, I'm just being silly. But so my older song choice, because I have the older song this week. My older song choice is Blue Cantrell, Oops, Hit 'em Up with Style from 2001. Now, I didn't really understand the song when I was a kid, when it was new, because it was a part of a crop of songs that at that time, a crop of particularly urban songs that were particularly like man bashy. And granted, I'm a same gender loving man, but at that time, I didn't understand or accept that, you know. So for me, I was like, why is she talking about us? Why is she talking about us men? You know. But and in my mind, I was like, it sounds like just a song, and almost still gonna feel that way. Sounds like a song that's just like glorifying being a thief, you know, because she was talking about like basically stealing from it. But it's okay because you know, if he did you wrong, hit him up and stop. Anyway, what made me think about this song again today or in recent time is the fact that Rebel REB3L, an outstanding independent artist, his latest album, This Is for the Kids, has a single on it called FYU. And his single FYU kind of plays with the melody of Oops. I almost said Oops, I did it again. No, a different Oops. But Oops hit him up with style. And I can't help it. I'm a millennial. I love it all. But Oops hit him up with style. And he did a clip of her video and he adjusted the speed of her video to be in sync with his rapping, and it was just so cool. Long story short, I have absolutely nothing but love for independent artists and the hustle of independent artists. I dig it. For the week, this week, we are discussing hashtag BeReal, hashtag MissedMatching, hashtag 26, hashtag StillInLove. Basic complexity. Are you ready to get this show on the road, my friend Kevin, aka Basic Complexity? Are you ready to get this show on the road?
Yeah, let's go.
Hashtag BeReal at Rennie. Hashtag VersTEAv194
New year, new you, right? Shut up. Just shut up, all right? Shut up. Y'all always say this every year. Every year y'all say the same thing, okay? And we're tired. We're tired, all right? All right? Y'all always, it's like y'all always.
After hearing this, I can honestly say that I've said the exact same thing for years, really. What makes, or sorry, let me rephrase that. What makes January 1st of a year any different from any other day that same year? Just don't get it. Really, it really is just a mental thing. Because in all honesty, if you truly wanted to change something about yourself, then you could do that on any day. A life experience that I have that relates to this was basically the same thing he was saying with the whole year. new me, or same thing he said with the alleged New Year, new me BS, which I don't believe. Yeah, and that's what I have.
Okay. Now, I my initial reaction to this was I was like, yeah, okay, love Rennie, right? He's one of the oldest Gen Z people. Like, oh my gosh, I think he was born in '99. But I was like, that might be like a kind of negative approach to it. But then I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute. No, he's not saying shut up as in give up on the concept of starting fresh in life. He's saying, and this, I take this back to what Puff said years ago, particularly when he said, don't speak about it, be about it.
Mm.
In his 1997 hit with my favorite female singing group, SWV, on their song Someone, he said, don't speak about it, be about it. Seeing Puff on your tube feeling weak about it, and that's what it's about. And I think about myself and my multiple sclerosis diagnosis struggles and all of that, and how working out every single day can be a struggle, and it don't speak about it, be about it. So I do my best, and for crying out loud, I'm an Eagle Scout, and part of the Scout law says do my best. I will do my best. So I always say I always do my best. And yeah, as far as the workout every single day, I have my little earbuds and my little iPhone. Nope. I'm team Android for my daily driver phone. And my little Android, and I get my music playing, and yes, I work it out. And be about it. Don't just say new year, new me. So something that could be cool to do is just pick one little small thing and make that one little small thing something that you consistently do differently. That one little small thing. And then you can build upon it if you want, but just start off with that one little small thing and be consistent with it. Because I thought I said this, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, this will be another time that I explain consistency is always key. So that one little small thing, just be consistent with it. Basic complexity, what's your one and one, my friend?
Is basically don't procrastinate but need change you want to make, because the only person stopping you is you.
And I will say from my one sentence, bit by bit, our little adjustments can make a big difference. Consistency is always key. We can do it. Yes. Oh, right. Now, are you ready for the next topic, basic complexity? And I'll be first on the next two topics, and then you'll be first on the last one.
Right.
All right. Let's do it.
Hashtag MissedMatching at Julian King Official at XavierTainment. Hashtag VersTEAv194
So the next time you see a beautiful girl, gorgeous, amazing, and at peace, before you approach her, remind yourself that she looks this beautiful and this gorgeous without me. Am I able to create an environment that maintains or grows that beauty? And if I can't, I should leave her alone.
I heard a guy say once, if you look at her and you don't feel anything, then she is not for you. She's another man's blessing. Be real about how you feel and stop wasting her time. We all need to stop messing with other people's soulmates.
All right. So my initial reaction is, of course, wow, because yes, and I have much to say on that. But I will start off saying this. Our friend, the illustrious Gaio Rhodes Benjamin, suggested that I consult an energy healer person. And in consulting her, her social media handle on Instagram is at PhynessENCE. And I was talking with her, and I was like explaining how I feared that if I didn't make things work with that dude that I've mentioned a couple of times, who I was like, we've been talking off and on since my early 30s, his early 40s. If I don't make it work with him, does that mean that that would be my last chance at somebody, and possibly, and I'll possibly go down that road? And she very quickly, and I appreciate it, very quickly and very strongly was like, no, that's not how it works. And in part, I was like, that's particularly good because, oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, he talked about me doing stuff to his friends, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that what this is? Doing stuff to his friends as well as, and I'm like, no, I'm not that kind of, like the JoJo song. Anyway, so as it relates to the whole finding the match, it's not, you don't just have one match, period. You can have, it's, I think of it like a group of matches. So of the 8 billion people in the world, you have a group of potential matches. And when something f's that up, like somebody f's with that girl, going back to what he was talking about, or that woman, going back to what he was talking about, that depletes the number from your potential group of matching potentials. But that doesn't mean that you have now no chance of meeting somebody from that group. And how do I apply it to gay? Like when you make homosexual people live a lie and pretend to be something they're not, that ends up depleting from their group of potential matches, and exponentially, because everyone deals with that. Like the man, the woman, the other potential matches for the man, the other potential matches for the woman, and it just grows exponentially. Basic complexity.
All right. These two videos are basically under the assumption that men or women, straight or gay, are extroverts or extroverts. And many could be, but on the other hand, some people like myself are definitely introverts. And might not approach situations like that the same way. Yeah. And what I'm getting from the videos. It's just guys. Oh, sorry. Just guys, more or less saying to be mindful about shooting your shot because that person probably isn't interested in you, which I don't agree with. But yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will take a 1 minute. And you know what? I probably just silly misunderstood. But why would the person probably not be into the other person?
Well, that's what I was getting from what they were saying. And yeah, yes, uh, what I was saying to be mindful. Oh, yeah, what I was getting from the videos or that the guys were more or less saying to be mindful or be careful about shooting your shot because said person might not be into you.
I will respond with how I interpret it. I think it's not saying that the person is not into you and you're like talking to them anyway and they might not be into you, as much as it is saying don't take this, for example, damn, uh, oh my gosh, connecting. Not like talking about myself like I'm just this pristine, totally innocent um, person. But, in a case like that dude who I was talking about, I've been talking to since my early 30s, and now he was like, one day, well, oh, okay, being frank, one day, well, actually, I'm Aaron, but still being frank. I one day while we were engaging physically, which meant me, because he was a total top, and me like sucking him off or whatever, and him being like, yeah, I got a friend or some friends or whatever, and you can suck them off too. Like if and I'm gonna spell her name one more time just because she's so dope. If PHYNESSENCE said anything other than when I asked her, I was like, if I don't make things work with him, does that mean that I won't have another chance? And she was like, well, you might not ever have another chance. So I would suggest working it with him. And I put in that work to do it with him. I could have possibly been somebody who ended up in a relationship pimp situation. So, like, that's an example. It's not that I didn't want him, I did, but he had other plans for me, apparently, like putting me out there, me having me be the one that pleases him and his friends, and it's like, that's what they're talking about in my mind. Taking somebody who that's totally not them. For people who that is them, no shade at all. No shade. Like if you're that kind of sex person, no shade. If you're a sex worker, no shade. That's just not me So, and that goes back to the matching with somebody. You're really quiet on this basic complexity, but do you see my point?
Yeah,
You're
no,
on,
I was listening.
but yeah, you see. So as far as what they're saying, I don't think, and it's always up to whatever somebody thinks, right? Whatever we interpret. So if that's what you
Yeah.
interpret, that's what you interpret. But that's not how I interpret it. I interpret it as somebody taking somebody's innocence and being like, oh, well, F you, go on, I'm moving on to the next. Now that I fucked up your life, I'm gonna move on to the next. And you fucked up her life and you effed her up for her partner, her actual soulmate, or one of the soulmates from her group, you know? Anyway, my one cent, unless you had something to say about it,
No, no.
my one sentence is campsite rule. Leave it better than you found it, but still in its natural splendor, romantically, platonically, or otherwise. That at the end of the sentence. Basic complexity.
I,
You're one and
um,
one.
I personally feel that if you never even strike up a conversation with that person, then you will never know if you could have potentially had a chance.
Okay. Again, it's all up to interpretation. So
But yeah,
I buy that. Are we ready for letter C?
yes.
All right, and I go first on this one also.
Hashtag 26 at MShowRogue101 at Laverne Cox. Hashtag VersTEAv194
What really has called me to course is this latest bill from Oklahoma that would ban gender affirming care up until the age of 26. For years, we've been hearing from anti-trans pundits and politicians that this is about children, this is about protecting the children. But I think what this Oklahoma law reveals is that it's never been about the children. It's always been about scapegoating trans people, stigmatizing us, and criminalizing our existence, making us not exist. And we have pundits, anti-trans pundits and politicians on television every single day saying horrible things about trans people, on the internet saying horrible things about trans people, things that are leading to bomb threats at the Boston Children's Hospital. The Chaya Raichik, the founder of Libs of TikTok, took credit for that bomb threat and also boasted proudly on Tucker Carlson that she has communicated with Ron DeSantis' administration and that her work, her anti-trans propaganda work, led directly to the Don't Say Gay bill. So the way we talk about trans people and with trans people in the media has an effect on these policies. A lot of the ways in which we're seeing trans people be talked about on the internet, in the news, that language is finding its way into legislation. So I wanted to come on today for all of those people who have the best of intentions and want to support trans people, don't know the right language, don't know how to talk about it, or scared to say the wrong thing. We need the right language to combat this. Anti-trans folks have been setting the agenda and how we talk about this, and we need to take back the narrative, and we need to do it right away because it is, what is it? January 19th, and there have already been 151 bills targeting trans and LGBTQ people introduced in state legislatures just this year alone. 151. It's January 19th.
Wow.
All right. So my initial reaction is 26? 151? Wow. Okay. And Laverne Cox I fully agree with her completely. And it's not about the kids. It's not about the kids. They're scapegoating the kids so they can scapegoat trans and queer visibility because it's all about trans and queer invisibility. That's the goal. And people don't like the discomfort, their discomfort of the unknown. It's just all different shades of xenophobia, right? And by connection, this this might seem wild where I'm gonna take it, but I'm gonna take it there. It's kind of like, and this is my opinion on the 26th thing. It's kind of like that physical abuser who does something like one hit or contact one time and then apologizes and, oh baby, I'm so sorry, and you stay. Then the next time it's two two hits. Oh baby, I'm so sorry, and you stay. And then the next time it's 10 hits, and the next and they're, oh baby, I'm so very sorry. I'll never do it again, and so forth and so on. And that's how I feel as it relates to this gender affirming care, pushing the gender affirming care back to 26. It's not about that. And what's going to happen is it's if the 26 thing works, it's going to get pushed back to 30. You can't do any gender affirming care until you're 30. And then it'll be, well, you can't do any gender affirming care until you're 40. And then it'll be, well, why ever do gender affirming care? Do it never. And that's how things will go. And some people just want different people to just go away. And part of our country's beauty is in the fact that we are one of the least homogeneous countries in the world. And yes, humanity can do some amazing things, but we must learn to love and let love, live and let live. And yeah, we're trying, but we've got to keep trying. We still have work to do. Basic complexity, take it away, my friend.
All right. I agree that basically it's no one's business about how someone raises their own child. Saying that a child should not have a gender confirming or changing surgery until they are 26, just on its face, is a load of crap, really. At the very extreme least, it should be 18. Because honestly, at that age, they are adult anyway. And I would love to hear someone even attempt to counter that point. We all truly know exactly who we are by 18 for the most part, if not earlier.
Okay, I'll take a 1 minute before my one sentence. Yeah, people do know, and potentially in many cases, much sooner. Like I think about myself for crying out loud. I knew that I was into boys when I was a very young boy, but I just didn't have the language for it at that time, being a child of the 80s, a baby of the 80s, um, young child of the 90s, whatever, and people do know who they are, and we should let people. And also, part of their thing is like, well, sometimes when people transition, they end up wanting to transition back because they regret it. And it's like, yeah, that is such a small percentage of the
Mhm.
time. Like it happens sometimes, but it's a very small percentage of the time. But just like in the Bible story that we referenced last week, people don't uh, people don't pay attention to what they don't want to pay attention to. My one sentence is, as Olita Adams referenced in the song Evolution, evolution is a state of mind, and we can stop our own extinction upon learning how to live together. And I'll also say really quickly, it's a beautiful song with a beautiful album. It's from 1993. Basic Complexity.
All right, life experience that I've had that well loosely relates to this was a TV show I saw a few years ago about a transgender young person named Jazz Jennings and the things she had to deal with prior to her bottom surgery. Um, she had to deal with things she had to deal with prior to her bottom surgery. She knew early on that she did not want to be a boy, and stating that early on led to her getting um, hormone blocking pills prior to puberty, which was a major plus in her situation. And then my one sentence uh, is just that kids in general, not all but most, are far from dumb. And as adults, we need to actually listen to them.
Before we go into the next topic, I'm gonna hold my peace. All right, basic complexity, Kevin. I heard everything that you just said, sir, and
Uh,
that little bit of shade that you threw, but okay. All right. So here comes letter D, and you're gonna be first for this one.
Hashtag still in love at nerdy traveling writer. Hashtag VersTEAv194
Are you really falling out of love, or are you just no longer infatuated with that person? See, the sparks in the beginning, that's not love. That's a chemical reaction that's going to end up fading no matter who you're with. Love is an action that happens after things calm down. Love isn't euphoria. It's not the accelerating heart or the sweaty palms. It's not the butterflies in the stomach. It's not obsessing over that person. Healthy love feels like a sunset over calm water. It's beautiful, it's peaceful, it's consistent, and it's steady. Love isn't a rush of adrenaline. It's commitment that is separate from the unstable emotions that we feel. Emotions can change many times during the day. Love does not. Love is a choice, and it's backed by action.
Ooh. Its complexity.
all right. Yeah, I was just prepping over what I was gonna rate. All right. First off, I'm so glad that someone is actually saying this because there's definitely a difference between love and lust. And some people don't get that. Um, Personally, I feel that if you truly love someone, then you never completely um, stop loving them. Now, the type of love may change. and yet that's a given. But if you truly love them, then that love never completely goes away. Like, you could go from being in love during a relationship with whoever. And maybe later, after the relationship, loving them as a friend, which is very possible. That's what I've.
All right. And my initial reaction is also my connection again, and that, yes, of course, it's another so true moment. What she said was so true. And with my new knowledge and my 39 years of life, yes, I am looking forward to being able to identify that post infatuation section, moving into deep, lifelong love, and me not running away again. And I always feel that I preferred steady consistency. And I remember when I was a kid in class, they talked about how when you're younger, you have super high highs and super low lows, and up and down and up and down and up and down. And it starts to even out as you age. And I remember I was like, even as a little kid, I was like, well, I don't need super high highs. I don't want super high or super low lows. I'd rather just sort of be kind of mellow. And I always preferred that consistency. But when my relationships over the course of time would enter the section that it would be like the middle ground, that middle ground area of starting to settle out from the high highs and low lows, just settling out. That would be when I would be like, oh my gosh, has he lost his interest in me? Like I talked about last week on the song by Missy Elliott, The Rain, when she said, I break up with him before he dumped me. You know, like that would be my thing, because I would think that since we are falling out of that infatuation stage, that it must be because he's no longer feeling me like. So I'd be like, well, I have to get out of this sometimes. And at the end of the day, I really could have just asked them, you know, like, what's going on with this? Like, is it that we are falling out of love, or is it that we are entering, and she gave such a great analogy, entering that stage of true love being like a calm beach on a beautiful night, or something like that. And I look forward to reaching that point with my partner. And I instead of just questioning that of them, I would just run back in the day. But moving forward, that's not my thing now. I am going to discuss it. Basic complexity.
um okay. Well, I guess at this point, yeah, just going to my one sentence.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
No, basically, it's that true love in general is a very strong emotion that needs to be cared for.
Okay. And my one sentence is mutual serious communication with your partner is key. You are partners. Basic complexity, or Kevin, aka Basic Complexity. Are you ready for the tonight's conversation? Let's talk car.
Yeah.
You're up first tonight.
All right.
The card topic is, excuse me, who hurt you and what have you done to heal? Basic
All right.
complexity. And this is
Have
timeless, T, so no timer.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying this is timeless, T, so no timer.
Oh,
We're just having a conversation.
okay. As far as who hurt me, I'm definitely not calling out no names. I will say with every ex boyfriend I've had, I don't, for the most part, I don't refer to them by name. It's just easier. I give them a number. Like in relationships, whatever number boyfriend you were. So this one in particular would definitely be boyfriend number 5. And I definitely what he did to hurt me, basically, and this went after I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I eventually learned that he was more or less using me as a, I guess, come up, which I don't understand, but he was using me for his own benefit. And how did I get over it? Well, eventually, when I started adding things together and realized he was using me, I was like, this ain't working. You gotta go. And then, yeah, moved on, and it takes time, but yeah, with time, I got over it.
Yeah, and you and I were actually friends for, but by the time you had your number 5, and we both know the horrible, horrible, disgusting things that he did. So,
Right.
absolutely, absolutely, and yes, time. You made it through, my friend. You're my survivor. You're not gonna give up. You're not gonna stop. You're gonna work harder. Anyway, but yeah, another thing is back to our high school days, right? Anyway, but so for me, who hurt you, and what have you done to heal? Uh, it has, and I'll say this. I No, because I'll say what I assume. I assume that you did not go into many details deliberately, and that was I understand that, so I'm not gonna have any follow-up questions on that. There it is. And who hurt me? I think back to childhood, and I remember walking in on this. family member of mine in a tussle with my mom. And this family member was particularly at that time a much bigger person. And my mom was small. And I remember I felt so weak against this person. And things are much better now between us. I will say that. Thankfully, hallelujah, you know, we're family. That experience, though, was just so difficult. And I realized that I'm not going to say that experience may be gay by any means. Nevertheless, I do feel that experience contributed to the fact that I am attracted to men who can protect me because protection is something that matters to me. Like going back to one of the guys that I dated, who was the first time I said I love you and I actually meant it to a boyfriend years ago. And when we first got together, I used to like play hit him. Like I was that ridiculous one. And he thought that I was play hitting him because I was potentially going to be an abuser. But I was actually play hitting him because I liked a dude to show their strength over me because I would, in a silly way, see that as them being able to protect me because they're stronger than me. Anyway, so yeah, that was my thing. Basic complexity. Do you have any kind of comeback or anything?
Actually, surprisingly, I don't.
I'm not surprised. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, you know, that's the thing. I feel really, I guess, awkward sharing that story, but it is a true story, and I do think about it, and how have I healed? In the words of the illustrious Layla Hathaway, time heals all wounds, so they say, so they say, you know, and it's like technically in that song, what she's saying is, well, whatever. Time can heal wounds, and you agree with that basic complexity, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. See, because I feel like I need to play the other side of the fence with this because it's like, yeah, time heals all wounds. But what if? But okay, shoot. I will talk both sides of myself because it's like time heals all wounds. But the fact that that is what comes to mind after all of these years shows me that it still is in my mind. You know, the fact
Yeah.
that your situation with your guy is still in your mind after a couple, well, it's been a few years, you know,
It's
shows that it's still in your
been
mind.
a lot
So,
of
how
years.
much does time heal the wound? Well, is it that it's healed or is it that it's not bothersome anymore? And is that healing? What do you say?
I would say I wouldn't quite say time heals all wounds. Um, I mean, it heals most wounds, but not all. Um, some things some people need even a counselor to go through some of those issues. Um, but yeah, certain things you just don't forget. So if nothing else, you learn from certain experiences. Um, and I'm not even gonna say time heals the wounds, but what time does do is you have time to learn from those mistakes to protect yourself in the future from anything even remotely close to that happening again.
Mm. This is timeless tea. And I will say, what do you say to the people who, in relation to romantic relationships, interpret that learning as baggage? Because there are people who will say, who will say that they don't want anybody with any baggage and interpret your remembering that negative experience and learning from it, which means going forward differently
Right.
to not make that same mistake again. There are those who would interpret that as baggage. What do you say to that, Basic Kevin, aka Basic Complexity?
Then if someone interprets that as baggage, all right, peace out. Because more or less, I like in situations like that have happened in my past, I personally have moved on from that and learned from that. Um, and if someone considers that baggage, all right, do you?
Okay. See, that's a tough thing. And I was actually just talking with somebody else about this. How it's like when, and maybe you can answer this too. When does learning from your romantic mistakes become what you consider baggage?
That's a great question. Because if nothing else, personally, I consider it a learning lesson. And
When does
I guess that's given, say that's all about semantics or whatever. And if that's the way someone takes it, hey, do you?
okay? So I guess your response basically comes down to the fact that you would just let it go. What if it was Michael B. Jordan, somebody you actually wanted and didn't want to let go? Because see, you're just saying peace out to all these dudes because you don't really care that much about. You don't have much invested in them romantically or attraction wise in your assumption. So what if it's Michael B. Jordan? Remember back when we were doing that trifecta? He's the top of your trifecta.
In all honesty, anyone who truly knows me knows I've had a huge crush on him for years. And yes, I understand he's straight. But even all that aside, I really wouldn't care who it is. Even if it's him. Yeah, I definitely just got more respect for myself to not put myself through that. And really, I don't care who it is.
All right. Dang.
I mean,
You know,
I
it's
would,
like,
I would be disappointed, but I would still like peace out.
a disappointed peace out.
Right?
So instead of being like peace out, man, it'd be like peace out. I guess peace out, like a peace out with a sigh. Peace out, peace out. You know, a peace out with a sigh over the cry. I don't know. Anyway, but you know what? You're admirable, my friend, because that just shows that you really stick to your values, you know, and you don't sway, and that's good. That's how people should be. That's how
Right?
more people should be, because you're not the only one. You're not the only one. Just like I
Yeah.
was talking about with the groups of matches, you know, there are other people in your group of match in this 8 billion people world. Oh yeah, because I remember it used to be 7 billion, but
Yeah, it did.
it's not. I checked it today, and because I wanted to say it for this thing, this topic, and I was like, oh yeah, that's something good to mention in addition to that. The 7 billion people on the world, and I
Yeah.
asked Google how many people are in the world, and it said as of July or something, 2022, there are now 8 billion people in the world. So I guess our numbers are going up. And ooh, then we get to talk about I will leave it alone. Anyway, ooh, these are things that we've talked about before, so I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, do you have anything else to say, Basic Complexity, before we close Timeless Tea?
Thinking nothing stands out. Nothing I could think of.
Well, hashtag VersTEAv194 family, this has been week 194. We have got to do something special for week 200. Okay, just get that in your minds now. It's going to happen. And this has been week 194. I'm Aaron Mack. You can find hashtag Verse. You can email me, aaronmack@verstv.com. That's AARONMCK at BeRsteav.com. And you can pull us up. We're all over social media. Hashtag BersTEAv. Basic Complexity. Kevin, aka Basic Complexity. I'm gonna get used to saying like that. Kevin, aka Basic Complexity. Where can we find you, friend?
Shoot. And I don't understand why I forget this every week. All right. Well, one thing I know for certain, I could definitely be found at basic complexity at VersTEAv194.com, and that's basic complexity is basically like easiest way to think about it. Just take two words, basic and complexity. Where am I? Boom. Put them together. BASICCOMPLEXITY. And yeah, once again, that's definitely last word of basic and first word of complexity. You got two C's back to back. And that's how that works.
All right. This has been week. What are you going to say? Something else?
No.
This has been week 194. And we will see you all next week for week 195. This has been hashtag VersTEAv194. Talk to you later, social media family. Peace. Now, if you can do the honors, basic complexity. VersTEAv.com. Logos on your side.
Well, see,
Peace. VersTEAv.com.
well,
Right there.
there we go.
Have a good night. Stay blessed. All right. And ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba.